as parents, we'll naturally subconsciously compare our children to other people's children, especially if we feel like our child is behind. But your child is not behind. Your child's nervous system is working with what they have. So what can you do to help them? You implement boundaries. You let them go to ABA therapy. You go
Mm.
seek therapy yourself as well, because that is a load to carry. It is a public space. If I was in your house and my child is doing that, okay, let you know, I'm going to leave with my child because that is your space.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a public space, you cannot control what anyone is doing in that space.
Mm-hmm.
Is this your bus? Is this your sidewalk? It's not.
No, it's
So
not.
how dare you sit there and judge someone?
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Wisdom for Exploits. I am your host, Bola Amore. Today, I have another fantastic guest with me, all the way from United States of America. And the focus of our discussion today is what parents wish they knew earlier about raising an autistic child. If parents of autistic children could turn back time, they often state they will share one profound insight. Autism is an issue to be resolved, but a different mode of engaging with the world. Looking back, parents often understand they don't always measure progress conventionally, that children often communicate through meltdowns, and that a child's behavior is not a sign of bad parenting. They have understood that connection is more valuable than perfection. That support highlights their child's strengths, and the patient acceptance and advocates effect significant change. Our conversation tonight center on revelation parents desire to have known sooner, and the transformative impact this knowledge can have on families. My special guest tonight, she is calm clarity coach, and joining me, as I said, all the way from United States of America. Over to you, my guest. Could you please
First and
introduce
foremost,
yourself?
thank you guys for being here. You could have been anywhere, but you decided to be here with us today. I am Jew, the Calm Clarity Coach. I have a background in behavioral therapy. I work with children and adults of the children that are neurodivergent, some even neurotypical. So I was inspired to work with families that are raising autistic children because, well, it started with the children, but then when you are a therapist, you get to interact and you get to observe the whole household.
Mm,
And the one thing that stuck out to me was that the parents did not have support.
mm,
So I wanted to create that space where you guys can drop your armor at the door, even if it's just someone you want to talk to and you don't want any advice. So that's why I came up with the Calm Clarity Coach brand, to give people the voice who don't feel heard, to make people be seen who've never been seen before.
mm. Thank you so much, Clarity. And thank you for honoring this call. I'm so grateful. So, my introduction question for you: what inspired you to work with families raising autistic children?
So I started off as just a behavioral technician,
Mm,
working with the children one on one, and I became very passionate about it, to the point where I even started doing alternative family living. Now, for
mm,
those of you who are not aware of alternative family living, it's when a child or even adult who is neurodivergent on the spectrum, ADHD, is placed in a home to live with someone, and they are the person who they're living with is responsible for teaching them life skills or whatever is on their plan. And
mm.
I'm proud to say that I have had two people graduate from my home, and
Wonderful.
one of them is working and driving now. So I take
Mm,
pride in my work, and that's why.
wow.
Seeing the reward of lives changing, it's I. it's just a very great feeling. I'm getting emotional talking about
Wow, that's wonderful. That's good. Wow, that's good. So I think the change is the most important thing. At least when you see people, you work with them, and you can see that changes. That's a good one.
it. And mind you, when I say changes,
Mm-hmm.
it can be a way where we implement what they already do and make it easier for them.
Mm,
Because that is something that I see often too. Like, um, as parents, we'll naturally subconsciously compare our children to other people's children,
mhm,
especially if we feel like our child is behind. But your child is not behind. Your child's nervous system is working with what they have. So what can you do to help them? You implement boundaries. You let them go to ABA therapy. You go
mm,
seek therapy yourself as well, because that is a load to carry.
mm, mm.
So
Wow.
the word change does, often people think, oh, I need to change how my child is completely. Sometimes no. You just need to give them the tools to be able to express themselves better. If you know your child is nonverbal, you give them a tablet where it can help communicate with you.
Mm, mm, mm. Okay, so because you see children that have this issue, is that why you have passion about it when you were younger, and you decide that, okay, I want to go and study mental health in uni? Or you just decide that, okay, let me study something, or along the line you diverted to something different?
So I've always actually been in the health field. I
Mm,
was a nurse, I was a
okay.
CNA, I was a medical assistant, but I didn't feel like, yes, I was helping people, but I wanted something like more hands on. And also, my nephew is autistic. So,
Mm,
seeing the taboo of how some, I don't want to say ashamed, but some people are like, oh, he'll just grow out of it, or that's just how he is. When
mm,
that early intervention is so important.
mm,
Your child is fighting to try to communicate with you and try to be understood, but they don't have the tools to do it. You're getting frustrated because you feel like you're not doing enough, but you are enough, and so is your child. You just don't
mm,
have the tools.
okay. Thank you. So my first question now, from your experience, what is the very first things parents usually say they wish they had known earlier?
Well, often with me, my experience has been they wish they listened.
Mm,
They wish they listened to the whether it was the pediatrician, psychologist. They wish they listened, and they wish they took steps early on, whether it was putting them in therapy or. And speaking of therapy, before I get start rambling,
mm,
even with ABA therapy, you need
yeah.
to be doing things with your child. If the ABA therapist only comes 5 times a week and is only there for 3 hours, that is not enough time, hands-on time with your child.
Mm,
You need to find ways to also implement everyday things. If the ABA therapist is working with your child holding a spoon, and once they leave the home and you're like, oh no, I'll just feed them, that's too much work. That's hindering your child.
okay.
So those are things that I noticed.
But what about parents? Now they are pregnant. They don't know they're going to have an autistic child. You understand? They don't know they're going to have an autistic child. And now they are pregnant. They were diagnosed that, okay, the baby, I don't know, baby, they normally do that in pregnancy. But I know sometimes when you're pregnant, they do tests. And the doctor will know that, okay, this child is this, something is wrong with the heart, something is wrong with the lung or whatever. So when they were, because not every parent knows that they're going to have an autistic child, is when they have the baby and the baby start growing. I think that's when they start realizing that they have the. Anyway, you are the therapist, the coach here. So that's where I'm looking at, because some parents might not know, and some, okay, when they now have the baby and the baby is now okay, this is it. So how can they navigate their life around that at that early stage?
Well, first things first, whenever you go to conceive a child, there's a possibility that anything could happen.
Okay.
Now, Genetic testing, I don't know if insurance covers it with everyone, but
Mm-hmm.
that is a possibility. So, for instance, like how I know my nephew has autism, I would get genetic testing to see, if that's possible. And I would
Mm-hmm.
still not terminate the pregnancy, even if they were to tell me that there's a
Mm-hmm.
possibility, because that's my choice and I've had the experience. And it's just a joy to me. A child is a blessing regardless. But as far as navigating that, the first thing I would say is prepare yourself. As the
Mm-hmm.
parents, prepare yourself first, because if you are not prepared, you cannot prepare for your child. You're gonna feel a mix of emotions, sadness, maybe even anger, maybe even shame. And I think that's also why, like, some people don't go and get their child diagnosed, because they're afraid of what people might say of them.
Mm-hmm.
But what is more important, your child and you getting help, or what others has to say? And anyone who has something negative to say about an autistic child should not be in your life.
Mm-hmm. Mm. That's a good one. Wow. Thank you for that. True. Why do you think so many parents feel unprepared when they first receive an autism diagnosis?
Well, for one, having a child in general is scary, let alone autistic child.
Mm-hmm.
So it's especially you being a first time parent, even if you're not a first time parent, an autistic child is as if you are one, because
Mm,
it's a whole different dynamic. It is
mm,
the fear of the unknown, the
mm,
fear of who's going to, well, if I leave this earth, who's going to take care of my child? Or, what if they get bullied at school? Like, it's natural fear, but increased because of the unknown.
mm,
But most parents find comfort once they, get the right information, and also the community, because sometimes you get shunned, especially
mm,
if your child is low functioning and has some behavioral problems, or biting, hitting. You might be seen as a nuisance. So it's also the fear of not fitting in and not belonging. Not only
mm,
may you feel like your child may not belong somewhere, but you might feel like that you might not belong in certain. Oh, I can't take so and so because their attention, they can only behave for 45 minutes, and the thing is 2 hours. Because I've seen that too. And I feel
mm,
like as a society, we shouldn't be treating people with neurodivergent children like that.
mm, mm. Wow. Okay. We're coming to common regrets and misconceptions now. What well-intended advice do parents often follow and later regret? Like some families now, when they realize that, oh, they have an autistic child, they have different kind of advice. And to be realistic, in Africa, people don't really understand that a child has an autistic. What they do is that they tell, oh, you jumping too much, oh, you shouting all over the place, you understand? So they start eating them, beating them. But thank God for this part of the world both of us were in. And now, what are the intended advice do parents often follow and later regret, especially from we, the Black people?
I would say, oh, so parenting in general is not one size fits all. Even if all your kids are neurotypical, you are
Mm-hmm.
not going to raise them all the same. You can't.
True.
So for one, just telling them, "Oh, I'm very disappointed in you," that's all they need to fall in line. For another one, you might need to take their car, take their phone, take everything.
Mm,
So at most, and honestly, unless someone has an autistic child, and even then, every situation is not one size fits all. You cannot take advice from someone who's never been through what you've been through.
mm,
Even if someone sits here and describes to you, and you've never worked with autistic children, you don't have an autistic child, you won't you might can kind of grasp the concept, but they've never walked in your shoes, so they'll never know. It's like
mm,
me telling you what's how snow is, and you've never seen snow, you've never felt snow. You can do all the research you want about snow, but until you get in the snow, you be like, oh wow, this is
mm,
different.
mm. True. Sure. Well, can I ask a question now? I've seen someone now that are under the government's care. The child is under government care. Yeah. And they're saying that, okay, you shouldn't allow the child to be living in the same house with her because the child can do something silly, maybe do something silly. You don't understand what I mean?
Mm.
And they said they should take the child to like an hostels, autistic or hostels for the children with difficulties, that have these difficulties. But she refused. She said no, she believed that her child needs to stay with her in the house and she's happy about it. So what about that kind of thing?
That kind of goes back to the whole university thing.
Mhm.
Sometimes as parents, we don't we don't want to go away from our child. So for instance, if I had a child that was having severe behavioral problems, I don't know if you've seen that viral video of the mom getting hit by her autistic child, but it's all over the internet. Um, and he's like 16 or something, like hitting her, punching her,
Really? I
being
don't.
violent. And I would have to make the decision, especially with other children in the home, not permanently, but to put them in a home where specialists can assist
Mm,
them better than I can. And it's a hard decision to make. But
mm,
someone I know has had to make a decision like that before. It's hard, but you have to make sure that you're doing what's best for the child and you're just not being codependent with the child, if that makes sense.
mhm,
Because
mhm,
sometimes that's what it takes for the behavior to get better. Sometimes the parent is the trigger to the child. That sometimes that's how it is. The parent is the trigger. I know I can get away with this because this is my mom.
mm,
Because oftentimes people think that neurodivergent children are not aware. They are.
yeah.
They feel everything. They just might not know how to communicate it in an effective way.
Mm, okay.
But as far as her, that would have to be something that she sits down with her community and make the best decision for her child. Because typically, if it gets that serious where the government feels like they need to intervene, the child is violent and is a danger to themselves or the people in the home.
Mm,
Because you
yeah,
could be
that's
taking a nap and then they go doing something, like there's I've seen here where I forgot what it's called. It's not an amber alert, but it's a special kind of alert for people with disabilities that they do when they go missing.
yeah.
Like they just
They just walk out of the house.
yeah, and the parent is asleep. So if you have a child like that, you need to do, if you wholeheartedly know that you don't have the means to be able to contain that,
Mm,
the child needs to go to a place where, now it doesn't have to be permanent, where specialists can assist the child and then be brought back into the home and continue to implement those things.
mm, wow. It's a bit challenging though.
It is. It's
It-
it's it's not easy for the parent. It's not easy for the child. Like
mm,
it's like it's like us speaking English and someone is speaking Spanish. You could kind of tell from the body language what they're trying to say, or there might be
mm,
similar words, but we don't speak the same language. So how do you merge the two? You
mm.
find the tools and you find the support that can help you as the parent and the child to understand each other, because that's all it is. It's a language barrier. That's
Wow.
basically what autism is, a language barrier.
A language barrier. But what about those ones that always jump around? They keep screaming. They keep, even without anything, they're so excited. They're jumping all over
And
the place.
and now that depends if the child is medicated or not. And even with medication, children so with children oftentimes need an outlet. If I'm so excited that I want to hit someone, I know that I'm not supposed to do that. But
Mhm.
children who are neurodivergent, they might still do it. Now, is it out of anger? Is it out of frustration? That's for you to figure out.
Mm, mm.
It's kind of like a math problem.
It is well. It is well. So, are there common beliefs about autism that usually make parenting harder rather than
Yes.
easier?
Oh, your child will always be like this. Oh, and then you have the ones who, who have. It's great to think highly of your child, but there's certain things that are not impossible, but almost impossible. Like, for
Mm,
instance, if I am born paralyzed and I'm born like that, and someone is telling you, oh, your child will walk one day. Now you're
mm,
putting that expectation on your child. And when they fall short, you're angry, you're
mm.
confused, you're upset. Well, I think one thing parents need to stop doing is putting timelines on their children.
Timeline. Okay.
Because, like, I know it's hard, but you shouldn't put timelines on your children. Like, oh, by this time, everyone else kids is walking by this age. They need to be walking by this age. No, they're running their own race.
True.
Each of them are running their own race. And autism is a spectrum. No autistic child is the exact same.
True.
Like, oh, well, so and so's child, they're able to do this. No, comparison is the thief of joy.
So, parents with autistic child, they shouldn't be comparing their own children with other parent children. So, how come some of them look alike? I've come across some of these autistic children, they look so much alike,
So
and they are
with
from different families.
autism, sometimes there's other underlying conditions. You could have autism and ADHD. So
Okay.
it could be that. Usually autism isn't by itself. It usually comes with another diagnosis. So
So is
it
that why
depends.
the children look alike? Because I've seen some children, they are not from the same family, they are different entity. And when you see that they look alike, you see this one, we look at, I've seen this kind of face before in another family, and they don't even know each other. So,
And you
so
know,
sometimes go on.
some of them can have mild Down syndrome.
Or is that why they look the same?
It's a possibility.
Okay. So what do parents often misunderstood or misunderstand about their children behavior or communications? I know you mentioned that it's like, somebody speaking English, other person speaking Spanish. So do you want
Mhm.
to do you want to throw more light into this
Um,
question?
Something just popped up in my head before we get into that. Also, another common misconception is that autism has a look. There is no look. Like, I understood what you meant, but autism doesn't really have a look. Like, if you were to see my nephew right now, you wouldn't know he was autistic
Mm,
until he doesn't get social cues or common things that, like, common sense things he doesn't quite understand.
mm.
So there is no look, because that I know you didn't mean anything by it, but someone may get offended by that. So I just wanted to touch on that before we move forward.
Okay, that's fine. Cool, that's fine. Let's go on. So, what do parents often misunderstood about their child behavior and communications?
That they're being rude, they're being unruly, they just don't want to do it. Oh, you're just doing this because I told you you couldn't do that. Or no, it starts with the nervous system. They're upset. They don't know if they're not okay. For instance, for neurotypical children that are not on the spectrum, they still
Mhm,
need to be taught how to self-regulate. If a
mhm,
child is having a meltdown, you don't sit there and tell them to stop. You might you tell them that they are safe, they are okay, and then if it's clear enough, you can ask them, well, what is wrong? And if your child is nonverbal, you're going to have to look at their body language, or it's going to be trial and error. It could be
mhm,
something as simple as the tag on the back of their shirt touching their neck that they don't like, but you don't
mhm.
know that. And it's bothering them and they don't know how to communicate that to you.
Oh dear. Hmm. But if they're touching, if they're making signs, I think I'm not being judgmental, because I'm just thinking from, when we have a baby, a baby doesn't communicate when they're baby,
Mhm.
sometimes baby will be crying, you'll be thinking that is the baby hungry, you give the baby food, then later you said, okay, this baby is not hungry, and the baby still crying, he doesn't want the food, then you are thinking, oh, does he want to sleep? What is it making this baby feel restless? You understand? You start trying everything till you get the deeper answer. Maybe the napping is wet or something. You understand what I'm saying? So I think if somebody in that shoe sees their child, touching something, I think they should be able to say, okay, I think this is what he's trying to say. I think with people that have those ones that have grown up, they understand some few things. They know when their child is upset. They know when they are not upset. They know how to
Mhm.
fix things around them. I think so. Or what do you think as a coach?
Me, I would say, hmm, how do I
Mm.
answer this carefully? So from the outside looking in, it's so easy to say, "Oh, they should be able to know this thing," right? But
I'm talking
you
about
don't
the
know. You
parents
don't.
now.
You don't know how the parent is doing mentally. You don't know if they
Oh,
only
yeah.
got 4 hours of sleep. So it all
Mm,
depends of where the parent is pouring from. If there's nothing in their cup to pour, even if it's something that they always know, like, oh, okay, I know what's this. They might forget because they're stressed. When you're stressed, you're not thinking straight.
it's
You're
true.
dealing with the same thing all day, every day, no breaks. Some of them have
Mm.
no breaks
Wow.
to where they shut down. The parents shut down. So I think we should give the parents grace. And I know, like you said, you weren't judging, but we should give them grace because having a child in general is stressful. But an autistic child,
Mm,
like it's rewarding, but it is the greatest gift and challenge that God will ever give someone.
true. True. Hmm. Anyway, thank you for that. So, from the inside an autistic perspective, as an autistic person, what do you wish parents better understood about how autistic children experience the world? How do they experience the world? How do they feel? How do they, especially when, like other children, they do normal things, they travel, they mingle with their friends. I know they go to special need class as well,
Mhm.
but how do they feel this world?
So for one,
Mm.
autism is a spectrum, like I've said.
Yeah, you said it,
So
yes.
this question is not one size fits all, but from what I've experienced is that they want to communicate.
Mm.
They want to feel love. But on their own terms
Okay.
with boundaries. Like a lot of them don't like to be touched unless they're the one initiating it. No form of
Really?
touch, no hugging, no,
Mm.
like everything has to be on their terms. Like I think they're one of the bravest people because if they don't like something, they're not gonna sit there and pretend like they like it.
Mm.
So I feel like with them, they act first and figure out why later. It's like I know
Mm.
I don't like this. I'm gonna hit you, and then that's where the parent or the therapist will come in to try to explain to them why they feel those feelings. Because even if your child is nonverbal, that doesn't mean that they don't understand. That's why
Mm.
even sign language is important.
Okay. Okay. So do you mean everybody the start language is how does that work for parents?
Well, you have to learn it. It like if your child is specifically did it actually your child doesn't even have to be nonverbal. I've dealt with children who spoke,
Mm-hmm.
but they preferred to do sign language. So
Okay.
it's really on the preference
So
of the
did you say
child.
sign language or start language?
Sign language.
Science language. Oh, okay. Science language. Okay. Yeah. Not all of them, but I know you mentioned that they want to be touched at their own terms. What about those ones that even though when they are in the public or maybe even though when someone I've seen a young girl before in the
Mhm.
church and he keep going around touching everybody. What about that?
That's stimming. It's called stimming. Like
Mm,
if they flap their arms or if they want to touch everything. And then I've seen it with mostly nonverbal. They put everything in their mouth. That's how they. That's how they. How do I explain it? That's how they see the world through touch or taste. So
mm,
if just like if I can't speak, what my other senses are going to be enhanced. If I
mm,
can't see, my other senses are going to be enhanced. It's just like that.
mm.
Is
Okay.
it's the way that they choose to go about the world until they're taught better, or and then some of them just have a preference.
Mm, mm. Wonderful people. How do pressure, expectation, or trying to fix a child, yeah, affect their emotional over time?
Oh, that's sensory overload. You have to know where. Basically, you have to set the boundaries.
Mhm.
Where
So
if I
boundary
know
boundary.
my child needs to be here, but they
Mhm.
can meet me here, then take it.
Okay.
See, as what I notice often is that one, the parents put a timeline on the children that when they don't reach the expectations, it up, they get sad. But
Mm,
you're looking at it from your perspective and not the child's. For the
mm,
child, that might be a win. It could be as simple as your child just one day randomly saying, "Hey, mom," and never say it again. That's a win. You
wow.
should be thankful for every win, even if it only happens one time, because you don't know how much it took for that child to even get to that point.
Mm,
Because even as being one on one with autistic children, I don't, I could, none of us could ever know what it's like to be in their shoes because we're not in them. So who are
mm,
we to tell them, oh, you need to be doing this when
mm.
all they can give me, if they can give me 50% and they were only giving me 5%, I'll take it. I love it.
Yeah,
That's a
because
milestone.
you are working with them, you coach them. I mean, you coach the parents. So you know their behavior is something you've been trained, and that's why you're able to be in that shoe. That if they give me 5% today, if they say they are happy, they are gonna dance. You are happy. Oh wow, it's a win-win for me. So the parent will be like, you should be doing more than that.
and and also, like, as adults, we're already hard on ourselves. So
Mm,
naturally, we're gonna have these high goals and expectations for our children, whether they're autistic or not.
mm, true. That's a
And I
true one.
also, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, you can go on. Next, just go on because I'm going to the next question now.
Oh, you can go ahead. Go ahead. Go to the next.
Okay. So we're looking at what actually matter most now. If parents could focus on just one thing, yeah, or two earlier on, what would truly make the biggest difference?
A community.
Mm,
That's number one, because
community.
this is a battle. You don't want to lose the battle before you win the war,
Mm, you don't want to.
because it's a lifelong thing. Like, even when your child improves, it's still constant. So a community with me, I'm faith based, but I respect everyone's religious views. I work with everyone, but even if it's not a religious community, how the, go to, there's certain groups that you can join, or the parents themselves. Now I'm talking about just the parents. That's the number one, because you guys are the rock.
Mm,
Oftentimes, that is why most of those marriages and relationships, the man typically, because the mom, we're the caregivers, leave because there's
mm,
no foundation.
it's true.
There's no foundation. So support. Go to make time. I don't know if it's while the child is at therapy, but you need it. You need to go to therapy. You need to go to counseling, because that is going to take a toll on you and your marriage, or any type of even if you're, especially if you are single doing it.
Mm,
You need to make sure that you have self-care.
Self-care.
Oh,
That's another
I
important one.
I can't afford therapy. If it's that serious, I'll do it for free.
Oh no, that's good.
Like if because you need an outlet to release because you
Mm,
can't contain all these emotions of maybe shame or regret. You know, you need a community because you're going to be most of the times. Unfortunately, I see parents of autistic children outcasted
mm,
because I think
mm.
I spoke on that earlier where depending where on the spectrum the child is, like you said, they might be going around touching everybody or to
Yeah,
eventually where the parent just isolates themselves and they stay home because they're tired of being seen as, oh, you can't control your child. And I that's one thing I don't like about society, the judging, especially other
exactly.
people's children. Like that bothers me so bad. Like if I see it, I'm going to speak on it. I don't
Mm,
care if I know the people or not. Because I've seen it before where, a child is misbehaving, quote
mhm,
unquote, and everyone's giving the mom or the dad, nasty looks like, oh, why does your child make a rude? That is a child. What is
mm,
wrong with you? You can
mm,
just see it, you feel it, and it just
mm.
bothers me.
You're saying the right thing, Oliver. You are really saying the right thing because even a child that is not autistic, when a woman puts a child in a buggy, yeah, they're going shopping and they're in the bus and the child is crying. You see the way some people behave. And I've
Yes,
come across
nasty
a
looks.
lady, yeah, and actually, she's a person of a color, and she said, I remember she was saying that I don't like children. I don't like children. And I was thinking that you don't like children. One day you're going to go old. Anyway, majority of people, it's not like we from the African background.
But
Majority of people, they believe that once they grow old, they should take them to a nursing home. They will look after them there. So they don't need children. It's true. Because I was just like, yeah, I know sometimes it could be so annoying when a child is crying in the bus or on the train and the
see,
parent is trying to calm the child down. But
my thing about that is it is a public space. If I was in your house and my child is doing that, okay, let I'm going to leave with my child because that is your space.
mhm.
Now, a public space, you cannot control what anyone is doing in that space.
Mhm.
Is this your bus? Is this your sidewalk? It's not.
No, it's
So
not.
how dare you sit there and judge someone,
Mm, mm.
especially when life is already hard enough. Even outside of all this autism and all, life is hard in general.
Yeah, true.
I feel like as society, it has become too normal to comfortably judge and look down on people. You have
Mm,
people with a whole bunch of followers who, or or they got more money than someone, and they feel like they're better than that person, and no
mm.
one is better than anyone
That's true.
because at the end of the day, we are all going in the same dirt unless you decide to get cremated.
Mhm.
So,
No, that's the truth of the matter because people think that once they have all this little money and all that stuff, they have mansion, they have everything, they think they're better than other people. You
and
understand?
that's disgusting.
And one thing I realize is that you see, people that judge a lot are the one that their children are ridiculous.
And you know what?
Yeah.
Sometimes I've also noticed that the people who judge are used to being judged too, so now they do it. There is projection.
Yeah, that's
It's
what they call it.
projection.
They're
Yep.
projecting their
It's
feelings
yep.
to other person.
Because oh, someone did this to me, so let me do it to you.
Mm, mm. Yeah,
And
that's true.
some people they're just irrelevant. Let's just say that. I like to
Oh, yeah.
focus on the positive.
Yeah, it's true. Yes, let's be positive. Okay, you mentioned something about marriages. I had a lady about a couple of years ago. She has this autistic child, and because of that, the husband, because she's legally married, according to her, they couldn't cope, so they have to break up. So what do you want to say to someone that they're into marriage? Yes, they are not expecting they're going to have an autistic child, and now the child comes, and now the child start growing and things start falling apart. What will you say to people in marriage that the men will always abandon the woman, to be looking after the child, and everybody go their own ways?
So first and foremost, it's important to choose the right spouse regardless. But again, some people, they might not be able to handle it. Oftentimes men are coddled as children.
Mm.
So that's problem number one. But let's stay on topic. Let's think about the positive. I
Mhm.
would say go to counseling separately, and
Okay.
then once, but at least once, I don't know, maybe once a week, once a month, go to counseling together.
Mm.
Because also, you, as a as parents of autistic children, you want to also have your safe space, and sometimes it's not your spouse,
Mm.
because
Mm.
both of you are equally stressed, right?
Sure.
So
Yeah.
they might not be able to see your point of view, and they need someone to mediate.
Mm.
So I would recommend go to counseling, go to therapist, get a life coach, something. Do it separately first, because when your whole identity becomes, oh, a caregiver, that is a heavy label.
It
You
is.
might forget, what do you like? Who am I? Who was I before this child?
Mm.
Because being a parent in general, it engulfs your whole life.
Mm.
So it's very important to make sure that you keep, I don't want to say your independence, but you keep a part of yourself. You make
Mm.
sure that you guys are on the same page. Even, okay, you can't go on date nights, but you know your child goes to bed at 8 o'clock,
Mm.
but your child wakes up at 4 in the morning. You're gonna have to make that sacrifice if you want to keep that marriage, to stay up and get a little bit of sleep, even if it's once a week. You guys just, I don't know, cook and have one-on-one time when the child is asleep. You have
Mm.
to make the time, and you have to be intentional.
Mm.
And it's so crazy, because I talk about this with people who have, because I also have experience of narcissism. So I talk
Mhm.
about these things with people who has a narcissistic mother-in-law or father-in-law,
Yeah.
or just suffer from in general,
Mhm.
because it still applies.
Yeah.
When you suffer from narcissist, with a narcissistic parent, or you're going through trials and tribulations with an autistic child, you need the support. You need
Mm.
a community that understands you, that sees you, not just, because you can't just really rely on a friend or a family member, because they don't understand. So you
True.
need to talk to a professional,
Yeah.
honestly, or
Mm.
someone with that experience, and make sure you're not trauma bonding them. That's why it's
Mm.
important to talk to a professional, not even a friend, honestly.
Mm. Okay. I want to ask this question. We're talking about the religion now. So, what about some parents whereby when they see an autistic child and the way they are behaving, they think they are processed? What do you see to that and say that they need deliverance, rather than they seeking therapy and giving them seeking therapy and incorporating maybe medication or what can support them, to be calmer? So what do you think to that? That sometimes they believe that they are processed with evil spirit.
I think that is old beliefs, and that they said stray, not stray away from church. Now, going to church, that's great, that's wonderful. But
Mm-hmm.
remember that if you are a true believer, God does not make no mistakes.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So when you go to church to cast away that autistic demon, quote unquote, you're saying, oh, God, this is not right. What you did with this child, something is wrong. So are
Mm.
you a believer then? If you want God to cast away, what is the demon? Autism? So I would
You make
say,
me laugh.
but then again, when you know better, you do better. So that's just ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
That's ignorance. And maybe that's what they were taught from someone else. But once they find out the truth, I I pray that they forgive themselves, and that they do right by that child.
Mm. 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 Wow, that's a good one. So, how can parents support their child without overwhelming them?
See, everyone's care plan is different. What works for one autistic child may not work for another one. Now,
Mm,
if you know your child does not react to, because some children you have to do positive reinforcement. That might look like, oh, okay, well, if you do this. Let me say this. Do have a chart.
okay.
So because with autism, most of them are visual. So if they're having a good, how I would start it off is if they're having a good day every morning, you wake up. If your child doesn't even feel like talking to you, get them in this system where they could put it's a magnet, and you'll have a smiling face, a sad face, different emotions
Mm-hmm,
with the days of the week.
mm-hmm,
So you can track your child's emotions as the parent, and it's easier for the therapist as well. So
mm-hmm,
track your child's emotions, and sometimes just like how we don't feel like talking, they might not feel like talking. But when you go and look at the chart, you'll see that they moved the magnet for Thursday. No, today's Wednesday for Wednesday, and the sad face is up there, so you know how your child is feeling that day. So
mm,
there's different ways. Everything is just not one size fits all, honestly. But
true.
overall, you have to respect them. I know
Mm,
as parents are like, oh, I'm the mother. I know what's good for you. It doesn't work like that.
mm,
You have to figure out what your child reacts to. And if they react to it in a negative way, what do they remember from this? Because
mm,
I've seen cases where they might have popped their child on the hand, nothing aggressive, just a little pop 3 years ago. And the
mm.
child is still thinking about that. But now the
Really?
child is in the corner when they do something bad, saying no, bad, and they say their name. Like bad George, you don't do that. Talking to themselves in the corner. Yes. And I'm like, where
Mm,
did you learn that from? Then the mother is explaining to me, that's what happens.
mm.
This is what happened 3 years ago. I don't know why that he's still talking about that. Some of them have no sense of time. 3 years ago to us could be last week to them.
Wow. Mm,
So you just have to be mindful and figure out what works for your child. Like I said, I don't want to be. That's why I like one-on-one. I don't want to be comparing and putting them all in a box. There is no box. That's why it's a spectrum. It's broad.
mm, mm. That's a good one. Well done. So, emotional support for parents. Many parents struggle with guilt, fear, and burnout. What will you want them to hear?
I would say that you are enough. You are doing great, and that you are not selfish for wanting a self-care day. Because a lot
Mm,
of them feel selfish, like, well, I can't do this, da 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 da, because who's going to watch my child? Make a way, because if you don't prioritize self-care, whether it's therapy, whether it's journaling, I'm actually coming out with a journal for
okay.
parents of autistic children, um,
Okay.
to where that can be your self-care, where
Mm,
a moment to yourself, even if it's something as simple as you got to ride to the store. You didn't want nothing, but you got to ride to the store by yourself.
mm, mm. Wow. Wow. So that's
Even
one
if
thing
it's
you
at the
can
end of
do.
the night when all the kids are asleep, you soak your feet or you get in the tub. Make time for yourself. I know,
Mm.
I know you might be too tired to even make time for yourself because you've given everything you have to the child, but you have to find, even if it's 5 minutes out of the day, for yourself.
Yeah, I think some
That is
parents,
so
the reason
important.
why they are burnout, the reason why some parents are burnout is that because they have too much doing. They go to work, they do other stuff, they engage in a community, especially the busy mom, and now they still have an autistic child to come and meet at home. So I know you've said it that they should try and give 5 minutes, even though it's 5 minutes of their time for self-care, isn't it?
So if you go to work and you have
Mm,
a lunch break, make your lunch break intentional,
okay.
because you might not have another break till tomorrow on your lunch. That's just
Mm,
how it is. That's how you have to you have to seize every opportunity that you see.
mm,
I'm on my lunch break. I only have enough time to eat, but while I eat, Let me listen to some words of affirmation. Let me listen to some motivational music or just something to calm your nervous system. Because if your nervous system is always in flight or fight mode, then you may end up with a chronic disease yourself
Mm. Mm.
because your cortisol levels will be high all the time.
Mm.
So that's why I know it's hard, but that's why I want to, again, create that space. Like, even if you only talk to me for 5 minutes, you've got to tell someone that actually understands you about your day.
Mm.
You have to
True.
tell someone. You
Mm.
release that
Wow.
because sometimes that's all they want, to be heard, to be seen, to be understood. I see them, I hear them, even when they said nothing.
Wow.
Because it's a silence. It's honestly a silent battle,
Mm.
but
Wow. There's a lot, isn't it?
it is.
So, how can parents learn to trust themselves and their child more or children more?
One, you have to know that you are enough. I know I keep saying it, but it's so important because I just often hear like I don't feel like I'm doing enough. I don't feel like
Mm.
I'm giving them enough. When they're giving them everything, which is why they don't have anything left for themselves and they burn out.
Mm.
But know that you are enough, you are blessed and highly favored. God wouldn't give this assignment to anybody.
Mm.
God makes no mistakes. What what if, before you had a child, you struggle with patience? That child will teach you that patience by
Wow.
force and by fire.
That, that's the fruit of the spirit, isn't it? Patience.
So instead of asking like questions like, oh, why, there's also the guilt of saying, oh, questioning God, like, why me, God? Why did you give me such a tough battle? But instead of asking, why me in that manner, say, okay, well, why me? Did I lack patience? Did I lack faith? Because one thing that going through a situation like that will force you to do is be closer to God. Because
Mm.
who is going to guide you? You can't rely on your flesh.
True.
So I don't know. It will definitely strengthen your. I've seen it
Mm.
because you will, especially if you don't have no community, read your Bible, understand your Bible. You don't understand your Bible. My brother's TikTok and Facebook is Purpose Focus Ministry. He knows the Bible from front to back. Like, he don't need the Bible in front of him.
That's good. So the Bible is in his head. That's a good one.
Yes, like I'm,
Mm.
I'm, like I've never, and it's not just because he's my brother, but like I've just never seen a pastor who anything that they say, not even on purpose, it could be a normal conversation that the
Mhm.
scripture is in his head like a teleprompter.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Because every situation we're going through in life or anything, there is always something, the scripture that will always come up
Yep, and you
for it.
never know who you might inspire. If
It's
you are
true.
in a country that that kind of thing is not really talked about, everyone just kind of like hush hush about it. But you give your child that voice, you give yourself that voice. You know how
Mm.
many lives you will change?
Yeah.
My Just like with my nephew being autistic,
Mm-hmm.
that inspired me even more. Like
Mm.
even before I became on a professional level, I already knew things from interacting with him.
Mm.
And I became an aunt at 10 years old. So
Wow.
I grew up with him.
Mm.
So it's even different when you see it, you will experience it, and then you go and you do more research.
Mm.
It's a passion.
Yeah, true. 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 It's a passion. And that's, you see, what you said is very true. You see, even apart from having an autistic child, it will get to a stage in life as a parent that this fruit of the spirit must manifest the way we bring up our children. And even in marriage, because I mentioned that some couples, the husband, when they know they have this autistic child, or yeah, they call them special need as well, special needs child, the husband leave the marriage and allow the woman to cope. So when
And
you say you're married and you now have a child like that, I think both of you should be in that marriage to look after that child.
that's true. But some I rather a man leave me than to harm my child because they don't have the patience. And
Yeah.
as women, from when we were young, we are conditioned. What do they give us? Baby dolls to play with.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're naturally nurturing. Like they raise us to take care of people. That's it's like it comes naturally. What do they give the boys? Trucks, stuff where they don't have to. They're not taking care of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I stress this so much too. Like even before marriage, when you are engaged, go to counseling because there's it might bring you together, or you might realize that hey, these are conversations that people don't have. Like, oh hey, if we have a special needs child, are you going to stay with me? Now it's easier said than done. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
that's why it's so important for God to be the structure of your marriage,
True.
and not just when things are going good, but always. Now, I'm not saying people who, divorced, that the man was a non-believer. No, it was too much. And honestly, even when women get sick, men leave. So it's not even just about the child being autistic. That's
Exactly.
just it's just men sometimes. It's
Yeah.
the it's the it's the caliber of the man.
It could be vice versa as well. Some women too, they might
Yes,
just run away.
that's
Yeah.
true. It's the character of the individual. Now we all can say, "How dare they?" Da 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 da. But again, we're not in their shoes, so I honestly try not to judge
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not in their shoes.
Mm-hmm.
And at least there's instances where there was actually something that happened here where the father, he unalived the child, his own child. The mother
Wow.
left him in her care. And he actually just got charged last year. Yeah, it happened
Mm-hmm.
like 2 years ago, but I think he just got charged last year. Um and yeah, he did that to the child because he didn't have the patience instead of just leaving a woman. Or yeah, so you know I would just look at the positive, because if someone feels like your child is not worthy enough to be in their life, they don't belong in their life. Point
True.
blank period. It's a privilege, not a
Trees.
requirement,
Mm.
whether that child is autistic or not. And from my experience, people like that, they don't be living good lives. Because how is your child over there and you left this woman a from the outside looking in, but deep down, because sometimes those people come to therapy. They're not living good lives. It's a facade.
Mm.
God
Yeah,
doesn't bless no mess.
it's true. It's true.
So
Wow. Wow. Okay, we're getting to our final questions now. If we speak to a parent on the first day, if you are to speak to a parent on the very first day after their child diagnosis, what will you tell them? Diagnosis, what will you tell them?
see, with me, the first thing I'm gonna ask is, how are you doing?
Mm.
Because in that moment of that diagnosis, they don't need another pamphlet to read. They don't need another book to read. They don't need another Google search for you to send them on. They need you. You need to ask the parent, how are you doing? How do you
Mm.
feel?
Mm.
Because that's the number one step. I know most people, because that's what they're specializing in, is to care about the child. But my first question as a coach is, how are you doing today?
Mm.
Because nobody's asking these questions.
It's
Something so
true.
simple. Someone has actually started crying. Something so simple. How are you doing today? I'm like, what? Hmm? What? Me? Oh, I'm like it's
Yeah,
nothing.
it's true.
So how are you doing? Once we get that out the way, okay, so what exactly is this diagnosis?
Mm.
And before we even get into all of that, if they're faith-based, I'll ask them, can I pray for you?
Mm.
Because sometimes That's what people need. That's what
It's
people
true.
need.
It's true.
Can I pray for you? And if they say no, okay, that's fine. We can move forward.
Mm.
And then I'll ask, we'll actually make it depends. If they already have a psychiatrist, then that's fine. But I could say I could coordinate with them, make a pamphlet for things that they can help their child with on a day-to-day basis and help themselves with. Just
Mm.
like the breathing exercise that we did. Just
Yeah.
holding your breath in for 4 seconds and then releasing it. Because
Yeah.
sometimes that's what you need to do before you even react. Your child might do something and you don't have no more patience. Breathe. You will
Mm.
live to see another day.
Mm. Wow. That's a good one. And truly, people focus on the problem. They don't focus on the problem carrier. Because
Yes.
normally when parents come, that's a good one. How are you feeling?
I
What
like
is
to
it like?
say the the warrior. I don't
Mm,
like to use
yeah.
terms like problem,
Mm.
because that it has a negative
Or
connotation
challenges.
to
I
it.
use
Yes.
challenges.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's true. Because sometimes you first need to ask, like your reaction now that, oh, me, how am I feeling me? Because they've never had that before.
Yes,
It's
because
just like the problem they are dealing with. They are not dealing with the person coping with the problem, which is,
it's sad to say it, but a lot of people, when they're going into these communities,
mm,
no one's really caring about about the guardians.
mm, true.
Everything, like I see so many groups on Facebook where it's for the child. What
Mm,
about the parent? That's honestly what I shifted my focus to is the parents.
the parent,
Yes, the
yeah.
children need support, but there's so much resources out there. If they want me to provide them, I'll do my research and look at the state and country that you're in, and we can go from there. But it's the parents that is my target audience now,
Mm,
honestly, because they I just see how much they carry so much, and
it's true.
there's nowhere that feels safe.
Mm,
Because everywhere you go, someone is judging you, whether you have an autistic child or not. You're always being judged by society. You're
true.
too tall, you're too short, you're too fat, you're too skinny. No. So my first session would honestly just, tell me about yourself.
Mm,
How are you doing? We're not even gonna. We're not. If you want to, we can. But I don't even touch anything concerning really the child. How are
mm,
you? Tell me about you. What do you like?
mm,
And then oftentimes they don't know anymore. They don't know what they like to do, because the whole world revolves around that child now. So
yeah,
that's why I want to keep marriages basically.
that's a good one. Well done.
I
That's
want to help that honestly that is my number one goal. Even with my I know it's off topic, but even with my narcissism niche, I want to keep marriages, especially when it's a mother-in-law that is doing it.
mm,
Like there's nowhere there's it's just so hard, especially one, if you are the parent, you are the child of the one doing it, but
mm.
then you have the spouse too. It's like, oh well, whose side do I choose? But that's another topic for another day.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Thank you so much. That's a good one. At least marriage is a big thing. It's a big deal. Thank you for telling that. Okay. So, what message of hope or reassurance will you like to leave with parents?
I would like to say that for one, forgive yourself.
Mm. I think, yeah.
Forgive yourself for any negative thoughts that you may have had towards your child. Forgive
Mm,
yourself for not knowing better. Forgive yourself for feeling like you're not doing enough. You are doing enough. You are doing more than most of the people in this world
mm,
who are not behind. Your child is not behind. They're exactly on time.
mm,
Both of you. You are not a nuisance. You
mm-hmm.
you are loved. If no
Yeah.
one told you today, I love you,
Mm,
and I see you, and I hear you,
mm,
and I understand.
mm. Good. I think parents should go in front of the mirror and keep saying to themselves, yeah, I'm loved, I'm good, I'm highly favored, like you said, and they speak
Yep.
to the child, you're not behind, you're not autistic, this
Yep.
word of affirmation. I think that's a good one. Finally, where can people learn more about your work or connect with you?
So you can email me at thecalmclaritycoach@gmail.com or on TikTok, the Calm Clarity Coach.
Okay. So what other tip do you want to give us to wrap up this discussion? I know, yeah, we've said a lot about parents, don't regret, forgive yourself, change your negative thought towards that child, and yeah, you've had the child, is a wonderful child. God knows the best, He's giving you that child for a purpose, for His glory. Yeah, we believe that. So, what other things as a coach and yeah, and as a therapist for parent with autistic child, what other things do you want to tell them, or do you want to live with them?
I want to say that you and your child are running your own race.
That's a
Now,
good one.
before you even, for instance, before you even start a marathon, right, you have to prepare, you have to eat right, you have to exercise.
Mm-hmm.
But once you get to the finish line, you are rewarded.
Mm.
Now, autism is different. It's a lifelong marathon. And instead of one finish line, there's multiple.
Mm.
So meet your child there at each one. Do not look at where other people are in the race. Remember the story, the tortoise and the hare.
Mm.
Fast and steady wins the race.
Yes.
Don't worry about what this person's child is doing. Don't worry about what's working for that person. Focus on yourself and your child. And make sure you now I'm not the type of religious person to push my views on anyone, but if you are open to it, find God, know
Mm.
God, because He will be your salvation. He will,
True.
He will be the one to help you fight this and continue to give you this strength. Because
Mm.
when you have nowhere else to pour from, He will pour into you.
Mm.
And
True.
that's all I have to say.
Thank you so much. You said it all. I don't need to, I don't need to paraphrase anymore. That's it, because the God that gave you the child to you, even if it's not an autistic child, we've seen some child that are really, difficult child. You understand that in fact they are even worse than than autistic child. You understand, but it's God. The God that gave you is the one you need to go back to find God yourself. And for that child, that child carry destiny. That child
Yeah.
to carry purpose. So don't regret and have faith. That is that from us today. And to my guests, thank you so much for honoring this call. I really appreciate your time. Bye from us now.
Bye bye. Thank you.